It's Wednesday. We're flying casual. I'm joined with Brock. Hey, Brock.
Hello.
Hey, where are you right now? You look in familiar territory. Well, that's interesting.
I'm in the Rebel Scum podcast theater.
You are. We were just there yesterday, and as always, we finished the production, like it's a whole set. And, it was uploading. I went to the grocery store, and as I'm in line at the grocery store, news drops that the director of episode 9, Colin Trevorrow, was let go or separated from episode 9 due to creative differences or something to that effect, because that's the excuse whenever anything happens. It's always a creative difference. I text you immediately. We said, okay, tomorrow let's do this video. So here we are doing this video. Things have progressed a little bit since then, but why don't you talk about your initial reaction when you heard this news?
I was like, oh, great. Like, it's this is almost so commonplace that it's like I'm not fazed by it anymore. And especially, not that I expected it to happen. I have no feelings towards or against Colin Trevorrow. I couldn't even tell you till basically this article came out what he directed or written.
I did it yesterday with Josh, and I just Safety Not Guaranteed is
exactly
one of my favorite films, but
it's a good movie.
I love that. Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, it was fun. And then Jurassic World, of course.
Yeah,
which
I also compared
can go either way.
Yeah, but I compared Jurassic World was very J.J. Abrams in a lot of ways. And I was saying yesterday with Josh that J.J. Abrams to me is this director that he could come in and he's like The Rock. He's franchise Viagra. You know, he brought back Mission Impossible. He brought Star Trek back. He brought Star Wars back.
Yeah.
But he's not the person to go forward with that. And I was just saying that Colin Trevorrow, Jurassic World, really felt like, I don't want to say mediocre, but like a lesser. Like, it wasn't as impactful as a J.J. Abrams reboot, but it was almost like a baby J.J. Abrams. He's not quite there yet, but maybe he'll get there one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't know if I ever felt if he was right for 9, but I'm also not the person making the choice. Were you ever at a point where you're like, no, why?
I knew he was directing it. And if you had asked me a week ago, what's the guy's name, I might have stumbled on who it is.
Nobody can say on social media.
Yeah, Trevorrow. Like tomorrow, but not. I almost feel like the story isn't a matter of who they fired. It's the matter of like, wow, they mean business on this, right? Like, it's, if you don't fit the mold, you're done. And I guess the nice thing about this situation is nothing has really been shot yet, right? It was still an issue of scripts, right?
Exactly. And so they obviously had a script. Now, I don't know. Well, I'm going to jump just a little bit ahead, but I don't know about you, but I remember, I think you remember the same thing as I do. When they first announced these movies, J.J. Abrams doing the first one. Yep. And we've gotten Rian Johnson to do 8. And I swear I read an article that they said Rian Johnson was doing 8 and 9, or at the very least writing 9.
No, that is true.
Yeah, you remember that as well. And then all of a sudden the Carrie Fisher thing happened. And they had to rewrite it. And then Rian Johnson came out and said, no, I didn't write. I never wrote 9. Colin Trevorrow was writing 9, and then they hired, I can't remember his name, but he did. He wrote the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child and some other things as well, to come in and do some rewrites. And that must have been when everything started to really snowball.
Yeah.
Down.
I guess it's... reading on this story, I never realized that Kathleen Kennedy was handpicked by George Lucas prior to the sale to Disney. I had no clue. I honestly didn't know who she was up until we started making these podcasts. So, like, I don't know if we'll ever, maybe in 10 years we'll really know the truth. But with the, loss of Lord and Miller on Han Solo, and now it's like they're pointing out other things, right? Like, they're like, the second this happened, really, this is the second firing. I mean, there's Josh Trank with the possible of a Boba Fett movie, and then, of course, Tony Gilroy had to come in and fix up Rogue One.
Yeah, but Gareth Edwards was on board for all that too, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not saying. And again, like, whatever. It's just so funny when people just grab onto this because I know people are panicking. Do you get the sense that people are now panicking because it's like, oh, yeah, we can't?
I text you, Josh, Andrew, and I think Rob all around the same time.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, okay, whatever, let's do a show. Right? You know, like, yeah, it happened. Josh was like, Skype me now. But it was like the same kind of vibe from him where it's like, yeah, we've been down this road. Andrew was saying, do you think at this point Kathleen Kennedy is the problem? And I responded to him, no. Because I don't even know if there's, I think, is she the problem? I still say no. I think the problem is you took a chance with Han Solo with Lord and Miller. And and I think, and we said this early on, it seems really like they were doing their own thing. They weren't doing what they were hired to do. When you have a job, you're hired to do something. Brock, when you're hired to set up a show a certain way, and you decide, no, I'm going to do it my own way, there are consequences to those actions. And you spend 5 months breaking those rules, there's going to be consequences. And so now they have Ron Howard, somebody who respects the process to go in and do it, and can do it efficiently. I think the Josh Trank thing, we'll never know what happened because there was a whole thing with Fantastic Four, that mess. I think Simon Kinberg, who's a producer on Star Wars as well as the Fantastic Four, really didn't like him, and I think that's where that happened. And I don't think it's Kathleen Kennedy. I think Trevorrow, they went in, they hired I don't know how young he is, but he's a young director. You know, he has 3 feature films now, right? Like, he's a young filmmaker. You hire him to do the 9th episode, the finale of your new trilogy that you're bringing in. And maybe he was the wrong choice from the get-go, and maybe that is on Kathleen Kennedy, and maybe they all start to realize now, like, hey, this isn't right. And maybe it's not as evil-spirited as we think. Maybe it genuinely was. Trevorrow just had a bomb of a film that every critic hated, basically, that he still went out and said he was proud of. Maybe he just couldn't, maybe he wasn't ready for this now. He realized if he screws anything up here, it'll be 100 times worse than he just went through.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think it's Kathleen Kennedy. I agree with you on that. Like, and you can't. I mean, what's the point of blaming her to begin with? She's in charge, so it's like, yeah, I'm not saying there's no such thing as an inept boss, but like, if the thing you're making is doing well, aka Star Wars, like Force Awakens, and Rogue One, and we're all excited about Last Jedi. Like, so when it all boils down to it, like, she's golden. So until those movies do bad, so it's rough to say, but like, she's in charge. This is how it goes. I mean, we don't want to talk that way about Star Wars, but it is a business. So you gotta let it. It's just how it is. So,
exactly.
I don't know.
Under her regime, the new regime, there hasn't been a bad film. We haven't. Some people have not been happy with Force Awakens, and some people weren't happy with Rogue One. But as a whole, they've made combined like $4 billion.
Exactly. Exactly.
Those aren't failures. And we were talking to Josh again yesterday. The Last Jedi could be the worst movie ever made. It could be just Rian Johnson shooting a puddle for 2 hours. But opening weekend, it's going to make probably $200+ million opening weekend because of The Force Awakens and Rogue One, because of what Kathleen Kennedy brought to us out of the gate under Disney Lucasfilm's new partnership. So I wouldn't blame her at all. Instead, I would trust her and trust the decisions that are being made.
And maybe don't point your fingers at Kathleen Kennedy. Point your fingers at Disney. Like, now it's a different regime there. Like, it's not George Lucas saying, "Oh, okay, let's do that." Like, it's a whole board of Disney characters saying, "Yeah, you gotta do this." That was my Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that was good.
Imitation. Thank you very much. I'm here all night. But that's the thing. Like, I'm not a person that's like, "Oh, Disney, that ruin everything." Like, no, they don't. They basically own entertainment right now. And but like, I think it's weird. This is what the new way of doing things is going to be like. because we're used to like here's a movie, but now there's people that have to answer to other people. So
yeah,
I'm not saying that George Lucas didn't have to answer to someone, but
he didn't.
So
he answered to himself.
Exactly.
And, and Kathleen Kennedy witnessed that, and she knows what worked and what didn't work. And I would not blame her. And I know, kind of going on a different topic, but I was saying to you earlier, people online right now are like, "Can we just shut down the Han Solo film?" Blah blah blah. So why? You don't know what's going on.
Why? That movie's probably going to be fun.
And they're making right now. They're making the movie that they set out to make before they were getting the film that they were not making. We were talking about on last night's episode with Paul Bettany being replacing Michael K. Williams in that movie. Obviously, they're doing enough reshoots to justify changing an actor for a character, and the character's obviously pivot, enough to the film that they
pivoting.
But he's obviously a big enough part of the film that they need him in there, and they have to recast him. And they're willing. The other thing, they are willing to go back and spend just as much money reshooting and making the film perfect. How is that? And if they have the money, so if they hire you to make a movie, Brock, not to put you on the spot, but they hire you to make a movie and you're making a terrible film because you can't see depth, and so you just make a terrible film, and I have all the money. I say, you know what, you're out of here. Goodbye. We'll keep some of the stuff that you did that's salvageable. I'm going to bring Andrew Fantasia in because he sees depth. I'm going to bring him in, and he makes the film. What difference does it matter to Greg down the street?
Sorry, what was the question? If I was making a film and it wasn't going well, and then they brought in...
What does it matter who makes the film to random Joe down the street?
Oh, sorry. Does it matter that they change it, or are you asking, does the fan care at all?
Does the fan care?
No, they don't. They don't give a shit. Exactly. We care because excuse my language, but we care because we digest this constantly, and we have a podcast about Star Wars, so we need content constantly. Yeah. Again, it's like I'm only excited about Rian Johnson because I enjoy his films, and I purposely learned who he was when I watched Brick and Looper. J.J. Abrams, I loved Lost, and he's become a household name. I don't care if you put Ron Howard directing this Han Solo film. That's not for us. That's to make everyone who's paying money on this movie comfortable again, I guess. Because it's an investment, right? So, Ron Howard. Well, when Ron Howard got announced, it's like, what's the last time you watched a Ron Howard film in theaters? There probably has been, but that's what I'm saying. It's like he's known, but he's not in the highlights as a hot spot anymore. I don't know.
Well, I think the thing with Ron Howard is because he doesn't have a specific look or feel to his films necessarily, and
True.
It's old Hollywood, and he like I said earlier, he would respect Kasdan and Kathleen Kennedy, and they would respect him, and they would come together, and he would just make this film. And I really think Lawrence Kasdan is doing a lot of it's Kasdan's movie, I think, and Howard's space for it, and he understands that, and it makes complete sense. Well, let's move forward now to The Last Jedi, which is episode 9, The Last Jedi. That's the child of The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson is said to be, by Deadline, who reported all this, to be the front runner for episode 9. Do you think that makes sense?
Sure. I mean, I was surprised. I don't know. I was surprised when J.J. Abrams wasn't continuing on with it's like, oh, Rian Johnson's doing it? I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I like that. So, I don't get why not put the same director on every movie. Well, I wouldn't, because it's sort of like if he can write a good movie, why not do the next one? It's interesting because, Trevorrow asked him to shoot a scene specifically for what he was doing with episode 9, so I'm curious to know what scene that would be, and if Rian Johnson were to direct it, if he would fulfill whatever that scene is in episode 9. But it'd be great, I guess.
I think that for me, that's where I thought it should have gone from the beginning. That's where I thought it was going from the beginning.
Yeah,
like you said, it was. J.J. Abrams, I thought was weird that he wasn't doing the second one, but at the same time, he said he didn't want to. He didn't, it was too much work and blah 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 blah. And I could get that and respect that and get behind it. But look at that, our internet connection between us is not very good. This came up on Skype. Everybody can read that right now. Yeah, my internet sucks, guys. But but then you get Rian Johnson, and from everything we saw at Celebration, he was totally into Star Wars. He loved Star Wars. He embraced everything about it. And if he has, because The Force Awakens, for what it was really just kind of introducing characters more than anything else. So now you have Rian Johnson coming in and telling what everyone's saying is like a story on a smaller scale. It's more intimate. Wouldn't he be perfect to continue that story forward? Because in the original trilogy, Kasdan came in and wrote Empire, and then he also wrote Jedi, as much as George Lucas did what he wanted and Kasdan had to follow that. He still was the voice behind it. Now when you do this, you have 8 and 9. I feel like it makes a lot of sense to have the exact same voice behind these stories. The first one's whatever because you're introducing the world, blah, blah, blah. But then the next two are pivotal in telling the story. And if he has things set up that he wants to conclude, now he can make sure they are tied up perfectly the way he foresaw when he wrote Episode 8.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, just give us a writer, the same writer for every one of these films. And like, if you switch up the director, fine, as long as they're following the scripts to an extent. I know directors have their say and stuff, but like, as long as the story's there, who cares? The visuals are good, being effects, and then the script is good. Shoot it whatever way you want, as long as those other two things are there. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little too crass on it. Like, I don't know. I have zero fear on this, so.
Here's a question for you. Let's say they go ahead and this Rian Johnson thing comes to fruition. He's doing Episode 9, and you and I are like, yay, yay, yay. And Last Jedi comes out, and it is the worst. I don't think it will be, but for argument's sake, it is the worst Star Wars film to date. What happens then?
We'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I think people that have listened to me talk, not trying to make this a me thing, but like, I'm always optimistic about this because like, think about Rebels. It's a cartoon kit for kids, and we love that show. We wish it was a little bit more in depth, but like, that show is amazing. Like, the new trailer is amazing. So like, for Star Wars to fail, it would have to be such a jump into left field. So, one, I'm fairly optimistic that a Star Wars film will never be terrible, because just show the same CG space battles over and over again, and a couple lightsaber fights. That's I would say a decent film. What's cool about Star Wars is like the characters are really cool, and the planets are cool, and like the plot is always good. So everyone wants to know what's happening to Luke. Everyone wants to know what's happening to Rey. I guess unless you're like, oh, guess what? I'm Rey, and I'm the daughter of a space hippopotamus. Then we'd be like, what? Like, they would have to go so crazy for this movie to be terrible. I'm not saying people aren't gonna be like, I didn't really like that. That's fine. That's just subjective. Like, I mean, some people like Rogue One over Force Awakens. Some people hate Force Awakens, but it's not a terrible movie. It's just someone's new interpretation of Star Wars. So again, I'm optimistic, and I think there's no worry for like people to be like, oh, it's like people are happy that Trevorrow's out because Book of Henry did not do well. Who cares? Like, those are two different things.
And the one thing that really annoys me about that is, who has seen the Book of Henry? Who are we to judge anyway? Because critics hate every Michael Bay movie that everybody spends all their money on that make billions of dollars.
Five Transformers movies.
Yeah, like how can you judge like one movie, especially one movie? Because Jurassic World, for all of its faults and flaws, is still a fun film, and it made a ton of money and it brought people into the theater, and they had a great time, and they're like, what's next? And like I said, Safe Not Guaranteed, I don't think that many people saw it, but I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Quotes a meatloaf on this one. But, like, what's the problem because he had one bad film that he really believes in? And maybe it's not even that bad. Maybe that's exactly what he wanted to make, and people just aren't taking to it because critics like bad movies sometimes, let's be honest.
Like, I don't even know what was bad about the Book of Henry.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything?
Everything. I don't know. It's just everyone was slamming it, except for there was one critic, and I can't remember who it was because this was like 3 months ago now. But one critic actually said it's not that bad. I remember reading that. They were like, it's not that bad. What? I don't know what all the problem is, but sometimes that movie comes out and the critic doesn't like it, and then everyone just snowballs on it, and everybody, these are the worst film of the year, and it's not at all. There are worse films out there, I can guarantee you, than The Book of Henry, and worse directors than Colin Trevorrow to come in here and make a Star Wars film.
Exactly. I don't know. It's just, you could complain about it till you're blue in the face, but either way, like, they're gonna make these movies. Like, they would have to have 3 or 4 terrible Star Wars movies for them to stop making movies. That's where we're at right now.
Yep.
Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 2, but I definitely think Star Wars has enough clout that, like, they would have to fail like 4 or 5 times for there to be, maybe we'll stop making these movies. But I just can't see it ever happening. Mm-hmm. But, like, remember, like, Episode 8 is coming out, Episode 9 is coming out, and then we have Rogue One. There's going to be 10 of these films, and then Han Solo before Episode 9. You're going to hate one of these movies.
Oh, yeah, and I unfortunately think it's going to be the Han Solo films, the one that's going to... And you know what it is? It's going to be the Star Wars fans that know the trouble it went through, and this is when critics are going to annoy me again. Is critics going to be like, well, you can really tell what was reshot. You won't be able to tell what was reshot because the whole movie is being reshot. They're reshooting the film pretty much from scratch at this point. You're not going to tell anything. Ron Howard tweets every day. He seems to be having a great time. The cast, no one's been complaining about anything. Donald Glover said it was a little strange because obviously he was getting along with the other guys who were doing what they wanted to do. But Donald Glover comes from that improvisational world, right? And
exactly.
That's not what Star Wars is. And I'm not knocking Donald Glover at all. That's
no.
Just saying, like, I think he understands that it's that world too. He was just saying, I also was having fun with them, and it was kind of weird that I was caught in the middle of this. But he took that picture with Ron Howard at the end of filming. He had a smile on his face. I'm sure that wasn't fake.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. It's just deal with it. Like, you know what it is? Going back to what you were saying, like, I wonder which ones were cut. It's like when you go, and I'm not slamming people that know things about film. When you go to a film or you watch a movie and then you see someone who also watched that movie, maybe together or maybe like at work, right? And they're like, it's like, oh, I didn't like that movie. It's like, oh, really? I liked it. What didn't you like about it? It's like, the sound mix. And I'm like, okay. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like...
I feel like you're talking about me right now.
No, not you. Actually, like, you have done that, but like, there's some people's like, I hate the sound mix. I'm like, okay, then like stop watching movies because like once you see those technical failings, I get it. No, I'm not saying it's not valid, but it's just like, come on,
get past that. My biggest issue with The Force Awakens was the sound design. I didn't think it lived up to the previous 6 Star Wars films, which is a small thing, and I'm not. It didn't make me hate the movie, but the lightsaber turning on, I remember just being like, it was missing something that if you watch the previous 6 films, but it was a different sound design. I remember it's like a genius. If you watch,
and that's. No, and that's objective, right? Like I never noticed that. Nothing wrong. Maybe I'm just so naive, but it's just like, no, there's nothing wrong with those movies. They're perfect.
Well, no,
like the plot, one plot hole, I guess, is like, how did she know how to do a mind trick? But otherwise,
no, because she went into Kylo's when Kylo was going in her mind. She learned it from Kylo. It's obviously easy to explain.
Yeah.
I just remember when the lightsaber went off. It was the same. Actually, Colin Trevorrow, when I watched Jurassic World, my biggest problem with Jurassic World was all of the Jurassic Park movies until that point. The first time you saw a dinosaur was this big, extravagant moment where the music lifted up. And in Jurassic World, it plays and it plays, and then all of a sudden dinosaurs are just everywhere. All of a sudden, like nothing. Like they're just, hey, look, there's a bunch of dinosaurs. And then when the music plays, they show you this wide shot of the park from the kids' hotel room. And I remember being like, no, like that for me, that was like the missed opportunity of this is when I should have seen a Brachiosaurus for the first time. You know, like this should have been like, this is when the dinosaur should have been is when that hit it. And that's how it was with the music in Force Awakens, was just the lightsaber. The sound was just not as. It was almost too crisp, is what I want to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you go back and watch, it's not like it changed my opinion of the film.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I get that makes sense. That's fair.
Yeah. So,
anyways,
yeah, let's talk about before we wrap this up. Let's go. Do you think there's a chance that because a month ago, or 2 months in July, Rian Johnson tweeted, somebody asked him a question about directing Star Wars. I think it was after the Laura Miller fiasco and all that, and Rian Johnson responded on Twitter saying, "I absolutely love it. I would do another Star Wars film in a heartbeat." Do you think the wheels have been in motion for him to take over Episode 9 for longer than we know?
Rian Johnson?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's hard to say. I mean, we don't know. Because it's like, you know, if Lord and Miller didn't get fired, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Be like, oh my god, they fired someone, or we probably wouldn't even be that like. We wouldn't. It probably wouldn't have phased us. Like, oh, he got let go. Like, he didn't really shoot anything, but because Lord and Miller had almost finished their film and then got fired, it's like, oh, what's going on? And now, so like all of a sudden, like that's what I was saying earlier, where it's like, oh, Trank got let go, and then Gilroy had to come in and fix Rogue One. It's like those things only come to the surface because of this now, because it's like, oh, what's going on at Lucasfilm, you know? But I mean, there was, like we already said, like there was mention that like Rian Johnson might do the 2 movies. So I don't know. I feel like once you direct for them, you're kind of in their pocket. So
do you think it's strange though that, you know, with Trank going and the problems with Gareth Edwards and now with Trevorrow and Lord and Miller, obviously, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams was obviously hired, and he said, look, if I do it, this is what I'm doing. Kathleen Kennedy and everybody was like, okay, fair enough. That's how it's going to be. That's fine. And then Rian Johnson comes in, and Rian Johnson has had absolutely no problems with Lucasfilm whatsoever. He even said they gave him more free reign than he wanted. He wanted to be close to the story group on it. How strange is that to you that Rian Johnson seems to just be like thrown out there and be like, do whatever you want, do whatever. But everyone else's, their hands are tied. They're like, you're going to do this, this, and this.
It is bizarre because it's like, as we reported in like a Hollow News some point last year, maybe earlier this year, it's like Rian Johnson's like, they just let me do whatever I want. I'm like, what? Like, so I don't know. Like, I don't get why they get. I mean, for that matter, like J.J. Abrams kind of was able to do what he wanted, right?
But I think that was different. That was him saying, look, if I do it, this is how because they really, really wanted him. I think that's really what the difference is between the other ones. Like, well, he was the first one to come in, so I don't think they had much plans back then either.
All I know is that, like, I would prefer a lesser-known director than a Ron Howard or a whoever is going to take over Trevorrow. Hopefully Rian Johnson, but, like, if they were... I mean, there's talk... This is sort of not... This is non-Star Wars, but there's talk of Martin Scorsese doing a Joker film. I'm like... Why? Like, why would you... Like, nothing against Scorsese, but... You're producing it, but you know what I mean. Like, they... Like, it's not a matter of, like, skill. I feel like it's like, oh, you're a name. So it's like, we're going to tag you to this name, to this film. Your name to this film. Like,
yeah. Well, that's exactly what they got Ron Howard, because they needed to make people feel comfortable with, you know, with this.
Yeah, I guess.
Sofa.
But you know what? Like, again, that's for super fans, and, like, the people that are paying the bills on this is like, oh, okay. My parents... I know I always bring up my parents, but it's like, my parents will go see a Star Wars movie regardless of who directs it.
I think a lot of people...
Like, my dad may know all these names, but my mom would have no clue, and she enjoys all these films. Would she enjoy a Joker film? I don't know. Yes, maybe.
That Joker film...
So, I don't know.
Joker film confuses the heck out of me. That's all.
Yeah.
I want to bring this up with you.
I don't know. I think there isn't.
No, go on.
Yeah.
I wanted to change.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to change gears so you can finish your thought if you want.
No, it's okay. Change gears.
Ryan Bullock interviewed us today. Ryan Bullock emailed us. He interviewed me. He called me on the phone, had his tape recorder. It was a cassette. He got the new, it came out today, Wednesday, Star Wars Adventures. The new one, issue 1, came out today by IDW. I don't know.
IDW.
I don't know.
No, it should be Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to.
Star Wars Adventures? I'll look this up.
It's in our Rebel Scum email address. Anyway, there is the cover's cool. It's not Marvel art. Like, it's really cool art. I really like it. And Obi-Wan Kenobi plays a part in it. A prequel era Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he goes to Dex's Diner on Coruscant to get the best Nerf burgers. Anyway, there's a picture of Dex and he sent us that. So thanks a lot, Ryan Bullock. Now I got to go to the.
Oh yeah, I see it here. Interesting. How is it IDW?
I don't know what IDW is. I've got to check out the.
It's a comic. It's like Marvel, but it's not Marvel.
Does Marvel own them?
It's competition. It's technically competition for Marvel. Interesting. How are they able to do this? Unless this is old. Interesting.
No, it can't be that old because Ray's on
it. This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It can't be that old. Interesting. So he sent you this?
He sent
like the digital version?
No, just a couple pages shows me that Dex is in it because we always talk about
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It was announced that April 14th and 20th, ID ongoing comic book series aimed at younger audiences that would tell stories from across the saga. A day later, in an interview with the Star Wars show, IDW Publishing Chief Creative Officer Chris Ryle talked more about the series. He revealed the fact that the book will be having rotating creative teams and that each issue will feature a lead story about popular characters from the films and backup stories with lesser-known or fan-favorite characters, including the ones from the TV series hosted by Maz Kanata as a narrator. What? That is not what... Yeah, okay. So Maz Kanata's a narrator.
Cool. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard of that. That's interesting. So it looks like it was launched at like San Diego.
It was announced at Celebration, so I don't know. But apparently the reason they have this is because this is aimed at beginner readers, whereas Marvel is more for the adult readers. That's how that.
Yes.
That's how that worked out. I'm just telling you what it says. I don't really know what goes on because I can't read. I only look at colors.
Yeah.
They are beautiful. Okay, before I wrap this up, give me 5 directors, or 3, or 2, or 1 you would like to see come in and finish off episode 9 if it is not Rian Johnson.
I don't know, that French guy that did Valerian. What's that guy's name?
He would get fired before you
probably, but like,
oh yeah,
he knows how to make a sci-fi film. I don't know. I haven't seen Valerian, but I can't be too terrible. If they give him the story, they're like, you direct it, but follow this. Here's our paper. Follow it. Like him, maybe. Maybe I think last time we did a top 5 of this, I did like who were the brothers that did Stranger Things?
The Duffer Brothers. That was my number 1 when we did who we'd like to see do a Star Wars spin-off. They were my number 1 for that.
Duffer Brothers would be cool, just because I really like Stranger Things. I'm excited for the new season. Rian Johnson's always my go-to, so it's hard to think of something. J.J. Abrams again. I don't get, like, if you like him so much, put him in again, but whatever.
I don't think he wants to do it again. I think.
Yeah, no, I get it, but like, directors. I don't know. Maybe anyone that's worked on the Netflix Marvel stuff. Because Iron Fist is Iron Fist, but like up to that, like all the series have been really, really good, and they really know how to work in that type of universe. So anyone who's directed that, I don't know the names, but yeah, that's pretty much. I can't think of 5.
I want to see. I like Dan Trachtenberg, who did 10 Cloverfield Lane. Love 10 Cloverfield
Ooh,
Lane.
yeah.
And also, I keep talking about. I really, really enjoyed It Comes at Night. Trey Edward Schultz. Whether
Mhm.
he could do it, I have no idea. But Trachtenberg is someone that I think I would really like to see do it because I just love 10 Cloverfield Lane. I love that they decided to go that route at the end with the spoiler alert
Yeah.
with the ending that happens. Yeah, and a lot of people don't like that. That's what they're like. That's what I don't like about it. But I'm like, thank you for doing that, and because not everything has to be realistic.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. You know what it is? You know what I was thinking about this as we were talking. It's like it's hard to be a director because the second something goes wrong, it's on you.
Yeah, but also
And
once it
this
goes right, it's on you.
exactly, it's weird because it's like he's not holding the boom pole. He's not. He's generally not holding a camera. You know, he's not editing it. I mean, I know there's instances where the director does that stuff, but like, you know, like as much you can be in charge of something and you can tell someone how to do it as best you can, but it doesn't mean it's always going to impress everyone, right? So it is what it is, and it's like one person doesn't make a movie, so but that's the names we hear. We don't hear who the best boy is, or the grip, or the makeup people
Those
until
guys,
like
because if they do a bad job, they're fired without you knowing it, and replaced without you
exactly.
knowing it. Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know. I think it's funny how films work, where we create this esteem for like they're just doing their jobs. Just
Yeah.
their job is very cool to witness. I don't know.
Totally. Do you think that a porg stows away on the Millennium Falcon and will be in the entire film and then in episode 9?
I think that Ron Howard is a porg inside a Ron Howard suit.
How disappointed will you be if you do not, if you watch The Last Jedi and you just don't care for the porgs? It's not like you don't like them, they're just nothing. Like you're like, they're nothing.
I think that's the one reason why I'm staying away from buying any merchandise because I'm like, they're cool. I think they'll be okay, but like you make a good point. Like we see all these images of new creatures and characters, and it doesn't mean anything, right? Like yesterday we said, like, oh, BB9E, is he going to be a villain? It's like he might be nothing. He might just be in the background.
Your intercourse comment got a lot of.
Yes, it did. That's
That's my favorite part of the show yesterday.
discourse and intercourse are not two different things. When you think about it.
That was awesome. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Are you so excited for episode 9?
Yeah, nothing has happened. We've heard nothing. We've seen nothing. We've smelt nothing. Like I don't know.
I'm as excited as I was yesterday for the day before this news dropped. I think it's going to be a fine film. It's going to wrap up this trilogy of stories. I'm hoping they go further than 3. I hope whatever story ends, they end, and then in a couple of years they go back and they're like, here's 3 more stories.
Yeah.
Follow these characters that you just grew up with. Also, I was at after we recorded yesterday, I went to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Just had to pick something up, but I wanted to see what Star Wars figures they had there. They had pretty much nothing Last Jedi related left, with the exception of a $45 Porg that moved or something like that. And the 2 action figures they had remaining were Rose and Hux. Just Rose and Hux. No one else. The shelves were empty. Like people had taken the other stuff off.
Oh yeah, okay. So like it did. They were there.
Yeah,
at
they
one
were
point.
there. I don't know what they had. And then I went to the Disney store to see what they had. They had 5 die casts and not much else actually. Disney store. There wasn't much Star
Did
Wars.
you find any find the Force standees or anything like that?
Yes, at Walmart had one. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
it was the Praetorian Guard.
Well, you have to do. Oh, of course. All right, cool.
All right, Brock. Thanks a lot. Where can everybody find you?
On Instagram at bfsmink and at Twitter at bfsmink.
Yeah, follow me at Petzafina, PEZZZFINA. It's Z or Z, whatever country you're in. So I'm trying to be bilingual on this one. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and may the force of others be with you.
You're fired.
Kathleen?
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.